I'm Amanda.
Maria.
I'm Alex.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Zakia.
And I'm Samantha, the Indigenous Community Coordinator.
We are your KPU recruitment team.
At Kwantlen Polytechnic University, we have 7 faculties. Most of them are pretty straightforward. We have academic and career advancement. That's where all of your upgrading courses would fall.
Next, we have trades and technology with programs like mechatronics, millwright, and plumbing. We also have our Wilson School of Design that has programs like product design, interior design, fashion design, and so many more.
The School of Business includes accounting, marketing, human resource management, and information technology.
The Faculty of Arts includes fine arts, English, sociology, criminology, psychology, and history.
The Faculty of Health includes programs like healthcare assistant and traditional Chinese medicine. And then lastly, there's the Faculty of Science and Horticulture, which includes environmental protection technology, biology, and of course, our horticulture programs. These are just a few examples, as KPU has over 140 programs.
So we're Canada's only polytechnic university. That means hands-on applied learning.
We have 5 campuses. This is where we're located on a map. On our Surrey, Langley, and Richmond campuses, you can take your arts, science, and business programs. Richmond is also home to our Sustainable Agriculture, Traditional Chinese Medicine program, and our Wilson School of Design. Langley is home to our Faculty of Health, so the nursing programs and the healthcare assistant program would be run out of this campus, and then the Faculty of Science and Horticulture is located here as well. We have our Tech campus located in Cloverdale, where all of the trades programs are, including mechatronics and CAD.
To get you from each of our campuses, we have our KPU shuttle bus. It goes from the Langley campus to the Cloverdale campus to the Surrey campus, Monday through Friday, and it has free Wi-Fi.
We're a polytechnic university, so we pride ourselves in providing students hands-on practical experience.
One of those ways to get that experience is through cooperative education.
Another example is practicums.
Another way for students to get practical experience is our labs.
At KPU, our maximum class size is 35 students, and this really allows for a collaborative and supportive environment.
And it's not as intimidating to ask questions if you don't understand the topic right away.
So many of these programs are offered on a part-time or full-time basis. Personally, I love having these flexible options at KPU as someone who's working through post-secondary.
At KPU, we have Canada's first zero textbook cost program. That's basically when you can register for a class and you don't have to pay for any textbook fees. We offer tons of classes that have zero textbook cost. You can even do an entire bachelor's degree in general studies without having to pay for a single textbook. And those are huge savings.
So let's talk about student awards and financial assistance. KPU offers nearly $2 million in scholarship. That's a lot of money. So take it from me, this is something that you're gonna wanna look into. Our Student Awards and Financial Assistance Department has advisors that you can reach out to for help.
KPU offers tons of international programs, from exchange programs, field schools, to summer schools. I myself am from Japan. I attended the exchange program here in Canada, and now I live here. It's definitely a life-changing experience. You should check it out.
Does all of this sound like a great fit for you? Once you're ready to apply, you're gonna go to kpu.ca/apply and fill out the application form online. Our applications will open on October 1st, and the early and limited application deadline is March 1st.
And lastly, here's our contact information. You can email us at study@kpu.ca or give us a call at 604-599-3030. We'd love to connect with you.
Hello and welcome to the KPU Richmond Virtual Open House. I am Dr. Steve Cardwell, Vice President of Students at Kwantlen Polytechnic University. I also have the honor of serving as campus principal for our Richmond campus. It is a privilege to recognize that at Kwantlen Polytechnic University, we live, work and study in a region south of the Fraser River on the unceded, traditional, overlapping and ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people. In particular, we are grateful to the Kwantlen Nation, who graciously shared their name with us. Kwantlen means tireless runner, and that is something that we do every day. I wish you could be joining us in person for our annual KPU Richmond Open House. We would love to give you a tour of the campus, show you our state-of-the-art labs and workshops, our new Wilson School of Design building, our teaching farm on the Garden City lands, our student acupuncture clinic, and so much more. As many of you will know, KPU's Richmond campus is centrally located just steps from the Lansdowne SkyTrain station, making it an easy commute from Vancouver. We can't wait to welcome you to Richmond campus as soon as it is safe to do so. Now and always, the health and well-being of KPU students, faculty, and staff, as well as our community, is our top priority. While you are tuning in from the comfort of your own home, many of us are joining you from our homes. We have current students, KPU graduates, instructors, and advisors here ready and eager to help you discover what is possible at KPU Richmond. Now it is my honor to introduce KPU's Elder-in-Residence, Lekeitu of the Kwantlen First Nation, to welcome you to our open house. Over to you, my friend Lekeitu. Thank you.
I welcome you all today on their behalf of our nations. Misa Kwatwilam. Misa Kwatwilam. That's what the language you see behind me on the glass, and my son's artwork of the wolf resembling what we call Wolf Clan. We put the name on Kwantlen quite a while ago, 1993, and they asked if we could use Wolf Clan, Kwantlen's emblem on our university. The Wolf Clan represents tireless hunter, tireless runner, bestowing that on each student that comes. This is our house of learning. A long time ago when our lodges stood up, longhouses stood up, that was our house of learning. This represents that house of learning. It represents humanity in the best way possible. It also represents how strong our teachers are when it comes to this type of learning. Whether it's online or in a classroom, it's still important to always remember where you come from, the language that you speak, how you treat each other, how you look at the world, as it's still a special place. From the first time you set foot on the land, from other countries, you come here to learn, to live, to love, to honor, to respect, show dignity and grace every day of your life. You have all been traveling for over 12 to 14 years now in our education systems. You have all come from all over the world to join us, to share, bring your knowledge so we can learn about other countries as well. I really want to make sure that the domination of leadership at KPU is always maintaining the strongest point of our education, because in every world, in every country you come from, health and education is #1 priority. So when we do this, we want to make sure that we do this in a good way, to welcome you, make you strong, keep your heartbeat strong and your visions and dreams intact. Don't waver. Making sure that every time that you come through that doorway, you bring your family. You represent that family. Generations upon generations. This is where you're taking us as well. You're going to be the new leaders of the world. I encourage you to listen, to watch, to speak, to share. With that, I'm saying, Hai Tsipka, thank you.
Welcome to Kwantlen Polytechnic University's Richmond campus. My name is Amanda and I am a student recruitment coordinator here at KPU with the Future Students Office. And although we can't have you guys on campus right now, we still did want to show you around our amazing Richmond campus, so let's get started. Over here, we have our library. Not everything is available right now, but we still have lots of services online. At the back of our library, we have the Learning Center where you can get additional help from tutors if you need it. This is one of the services that isn't available right now, but you can still access tutors online. Over here, we have the Kwantlen Student Association. You can check out everything they have available online here. They also have a great yoga studio that isn't really being used right now, but we still wanted to show you it anyway. And back across the hall, we have our Tim Hortons and cafeteria, and normally it's not gated and closed, but we're playing it safe right now. There are also more food options across the street at Lansdowne Mall. And there's still a lot more to see on the ground floor, but since we're already at the staircase, let's head upstairs and see what we have. On our third floor, we have lots of classrooms and some of our state-of-the-art labs. One of the labs is the Seed Lab, which is part of our Sustainable Agriculture program. It's designed to help growers improve quality and production of seeds. Basically, that means they're trying to find ways to improve organic crops and food production. But we're a polytechnic university, so that means we don't just do research. We take our research into the fields and we get our hands dirty. The Garden City lands are an extraordinary 55.2 hectares of open space located within the Agricultural Land Reserve, right by the Richmond campus. The farm focuses on being sustainable and organic. Students will study and practice here while working towards their Bachelor of Applied Science in Sustainable Agriculture. The produce from the farm is even sold at the Kwantlen Street Farmers Market, so you can try it out for yourself. Back on the third floor is where we have our traditional Chinese medicine clinic for our acupuncture program. And this amazing lab is where students can get all the hands-on experience they need for a career in traditional Chinese medicine. KPU is the only public post-secondary institution that offers a traditional Chinese medicine program. On our second floor, we have a lot of different classrooms and spaces. We also have our Melville Center for Dialogue. When it's not a pandemic, we host a lot of conferences and events here. And we have a lot of different study spaces just like this one all around our Richmond campus. Back on our first floor, we have lots of different student services. We have the Future Students Office, that's me. We have our Multi-Faith Center, Academic Advising, Student Enrollment Services, KPU International, and so many more. Over here we have our bookstore, and again, normally it doesn't look like this. These services aren't available in person right now, but if you did need any help, we are more than happy to help you over the phone or by email. Just check out our website for more information. Now let's head over to the Wilson School of Design. This is our Wilson School of Design building. It's home to our internationally known design programs. And I mean, just look at this space. Isn't it amazing? Now, let's go check out our textiles lab first. This is where students practice washing, dyeing, and drying various materials. There is so much creativity and innovation that goes on in this room. We also have a specialty lab where students work with all different types of materials to bring their creations to life. Up here on the fourth floor, we have amazing views. This is also where our fashion design students love to take photos of their creations, and we even have a design lab where students are always dreaming up new concepts and innovative ideas. We also have a multi-purpose space where we hold events and our annual fashion show. The third floor is where a lot of sewing gets done. If you're interested in one of our apparel programs, you'll be spending a lot of time in here. Down one more floor, that's the second floor if you're keeping track, we have a lot more classroom and lab spaces. Here in our Student Resource Lab, students have access to all different types of materials they could ever need to spark those design ideas. Well, that wraps up our tour of the KPU Richmond campus. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us at kpu.ca/futurestudents. And now, we're proud to introduce you to some of our instructors and students who will share the exciting work they've been doing at KPU Richmond.
I'm Jessica Bainton, and a faculty in the Wilson School of Design, here to show you how to use paper prototypes as a tool to understand three-dimensional mask designs. Let's start talking about fit in these two center seam masks. These designs are creating a snug fit around the nose and the mouth through shaping that is done down the center of the mask. Because faces are round in shape, the curve seen in the pattern follows the center of the body. This means that the profile will need to ensure a snug fit, and this is where we're going to have the most control over how that fits over the body. For people with longer noses, try adding more room in the height of the mask by slashing and spreading the pattern open. This change can prevent pressure on the tip of the nose if worn for a long period of time. By cutting and inserting paper and then testing this prototype again on your face, this step can be repeated as many times as needed until you achieve that fit. For this next design, we're going to be looking at a folding method. The mask starts off with a larger piece of paper where we're overlapping quadrants to create a curvilinear shape. These shapes are hard to relate to our body unless we try this in that three-dimensional way. The design forms horizontal lines that run across the face. This can be more comfortable for people with smaller noses. The weight of your fabric can also make an impact on this final design. If the fabric is too light, it might actually become stuck to your mouth when you're breathing deeply. Ideally, for a face mask, we want to be working with 3 layers of material. We have an outer cotton or a woven layer, a non-woven polypropylene or a filter material, and a silk or cotton lining. When you feel all 3 of these fabrics combined together, the weight and the texture will not be the same as your paper prototype, but it will have a little bit of rigidity in the end once it's actually sewn together and stitched so that it's secure. These paper prototypes are a great way of thinking through ideas like adding a clear window in your mask. On this mask sample, I have used part of a face shield to make a pocket that the clear window sits inside. This is one of the many ideas that can be explored through prototyping. When assessing your fit, you can add pipe cleaners or wire to the nose section with tape or staples to shape the mask around the nose. If you have a beard or a larger face than any of the patterns that you can access online, this can really make navigating through these patterns a lot more challenging. Try to find something that is as close as you can to your size, and then use the rapid prototyping process to modify maybe the length or even the width, and explore different options that would be the most suitable for your individual face. This prototyping process is much faster than sewing a new sample, and if you want to change any component of the design, you can do it quickly and be able to see how it'll actually look on you for your final mask. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the Richmond Open House.
The English Language Studies Department at KPU welcomes newcomers to Canada and international students in order to improve their reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills. I'm here today with Gwyn, who has completed the English Language Studies program, and we're going to hear a little bit more about her experience. So Gwyn, thanks for joining us. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Hello everyone. Hello Kim. I'm Gwyn and I'm an international student coming from Vietnam. I was an ESL student at KPU last year. I completed it just last summer. It has been a year, and now I'm a current student in KPU. My major is marketing management.
Can you tell me how you feel that the KPU, your experience at KPU has changed you?
So far, my experience at KPU is so good. I was so worried, and I don't know how's my study will be because English is not my first language. And I think I'm gonna have a lot of difficulty in understanding what professors lectures. But studying at KPU, especially ESL program, enhanced my confidence and helped me believe in my success. Especially KPU professor encouraged me that you can do that, it will be fine.
What advice would you give to somebody watching at home right now who would like to attend university but are a little bit worried about whether they'd be able to handle the university courses or that if their English wasn't very good?
That's what me last 2 years, but believe me, you can do that as I can. And just like asking questions, because instructor will be more than happy to help you with that if you ask them. It requires a lot of work, but if you put work in it, you can get through it.
Hi, yeah, I'm Andy Smith. I'm the farm manager for the Sustainable Agriculture farm here in Richmond. We have 2 sites. This is our Garden City farm, and then we have another farm down right on the Fraser River in South Richmond. So right across the street, there's high-rise condos. Across another street, there's a Walmart supercenter. And so we're really right in the middle of the city of Richmond. And so it's a really exciting place to farm. The Sustainable Agriculture program at KPU is a science-based program, and so like any science program, whether it's chemistry or biology or physics, there's a lab component. This is our outdoor classroom, this farm here. Students do research projects here, and they get hands-on experience in an important piece of that is to farm as much of the year as possible. And so one way to do that in the South Coast is to use some protection. So we are growing year-round here, and so the fields over here to my right are the spaces that we're growing on through the summer. So we've got crops that we rotate through. So we have different crop families that we'll have in a plot for a particular year, and then the next year we'll rotate that, and we use cover crops as well to help restore the soil in between. So there's definitely different crops that will grow in winter than grow in summer. So in winter, with that extra protection, unless we're adding extra heat, we're not going to have tomatoes or peppers or eggplant. But we can grow some leafy greens and some root vegetables that do okay in those colder temperatures. So what I'd like to show you is our movable high tunnel setup. And so the purpose of this is to maximize the growing season with being able to move the structure onto the crops that need the protection at the given time of year. So let's go ahead and head inside, and we can take a look at what's in there. So you can see in this structure, it looks very similar to a greenhouse. It basically is a greenhouse, but greenhouses are permanent structures and high tunnels are structures that can move. And so in here we've got bell peppers and long sweet peppers, and then some smaller peppers, and then a couple different types of eggplant. And so these crops really benefit from the extra heat that a greenhouse gives it during the day, as well as overnight, the temperatures are not going to be getting as low. And so with that extra protection overnight, the plants grow at a much faster rate and will have higher production. Part of why we wanted this particular setup to demonstrate for our students is that importance of extending the season, the growth season, as long as possible. And what that allows farmers to do is to have revenue, income coming in throughout the year. In our program, we see it as absolutely critical that students are really an integral part of decision-making on the farm and actually working on the farm to get that hands-on experience. That's another key component of our program is the sustainable part of our program. And so how do we reduce, as farmers, reduce our reliance on fossil fuels is a really key question for us. And so having this on a solar setup is one way that we're demonstrating that. And then probably the most significant way that we're demonstrating that is with our greenhouse dome, which you would have seen kind of the main entrance of our farm. And so that is a completely passive building. And so I'll take you over there and show you that in a minute. And so really what we're focused on here is a science-based approach to farming. So giving our students enough of the scientific understanding of what's happening in the soil, how are plants responding both to the soil and other environmental interactions. So to have enough of the science background to understand what it is that they're seeing in the field, but then to have a lot of field exposure as well, both through their own research, through participating in others' research that's happening here, and through participating in the production spaces that we have, or the production work that we're doing throughout the year. And to see how that progression changes from January when we're starting those first seedlings all the way through December when we're harvesting greens out of the high tunnels. So I look forward to inviting you to come and visit the farm at any point, and hope you enjoy the rest of the virtual open house.
My name is Wajia Rahman and I'm a fourth year student majoring in accounting in the School of Business. I am a member of the KPU CAN Club as the Vice President Internal, and we are a club that is associated closely with the School of Business, and so we are students helping students. The benefit of being part of KPU CAN is you really get to build those connections with like-minded peers. Not only are you able to connect with instructors and faculty members, but also the leaders of tomorrow. Your peers are going to be the ones that will be utilizing in the next generation of the people going into the workforce. And therefore, you're able to create those connections now and build on those networking skills. Moreover, you're able to meet and present to global leaders across the world and across Canada as well in international and national competitions. Through this training, it is very recognized with professors in KPU and across schools in BC. And so not only are you able to go and benefit from growing in KPU, but also growing as an individual. The culture of KPU CAN is very open-minded. We include and we encourage diversity among our student groups. Now this can include members from the first year to the fourth years. So we really encourage you to get started and get integrated into the KPU CAN as early as possible to ensure that you're able to enhance those connections and be able to provide and compete in those case competitions to build your skills and grow as an individual at KPU. A case competition is an opportunity for students to really connect with one another and have the initiative to showcase their problem-solving skills and also to utilize their team-building skills as well. This is a really unique opportunity to network with employers and industry leaders across the globe and get their connections and also build your career path. My experience in the case competition has been very positive. In January of 2020, I had the opportunity to travel with 3 other KPU members to go for a case competition that took place in Winnipeg. This was called Basque, and we were able to represent KPU as a community. Now, in the case competition, what we do is we take a look at a case that provided to us, provide a solution, and present that solution in a 3-hour time span. We present to real industry leaders that are able to provide and critique our work and provide those real-life solutions. We're also able to hone those problem-solving skills and get that experience. We had a case that was based off the Forks, which is an actual company in Winnipeg. When we presented our case solution, we were unaware that we were actually presenting and being judged by the VP of Finance for the Forks company. Therefore, we're providing a real-life solution to a real-life problem that the company was currently facing. And through all this, we're able to provide a solution that the VP of Finance and 6 other judges deemed praisable to be in second place out of 6 universities and 9 teams nationally. When we went to Winnipeg, I was not only able to build my experience in case competitions, but also experience the community of Winnipeg. This was an all-expenses-paid trip that was provided by the School of Business and KPU CAN, which is a unique opportunity that only provided at KPU. When we went to Winnipeg, we were able to experience the Human Rights Museum as a team, being able to talk to each other about our like experiences in that Human Rights Museum allowed us to create an unbreakable bond and also make a unique story that we're able to pass forward to other students to inspire. When we were representing KPU as a whole, we're able to showcase that KPU as a university was able to give us those problem-solving skills and those skills that are sought after by employers. Thank you for the opportunity to share my story as KPU CAN's VP Internal and also as a part of KPU's community. We hope you enjoy the rest of the virtual open house.
Hello and welcome to Richmond Open House. I'm James Hoyland in the Physics Department. In this video I'm going to introduce you to one of the experiments that our first years do in our Physics for Modern Technology course. So, as you probably know, the universe is made of atoms, and those atoms themselves are made of smaller particles like protons and neutrons and electrons. In this experiment we're going to try and weigh an electron. But how can we do that when they're such tiny things? Well, in the case of electrons we can use magnets. So electrons carry an electric charge, that's why they're called electrons. And when a charged particle moves through a magnetic field, it tends to start moving in a circle. How big that circle is depends on how fast the electron's going, what its charge is, and how strong the magnetic field is. We can produce the electrons by heating up a little filament of wire in a vacuum. We can then accelerate them using an electric field. How fast they get, it depends on how heavy the electrons are, what their charge is, and the strength of the electric field. Putting all this together, in the experiment, we can adjust the electric field to control how fast our electrons are going, and then we can control our magnetic field to determine the size of the circle the electrons move in. When we repeat the experiment for a range of different field strengths, we can plot a graph of the two field strengths against each other, and the slope of that line gives us the ratio of the charge to the mass of the electron. We can do another experiment to work out the charge on the electron, and so by doing these two together we can arrive at the mass of the electron. This experiment is one of many that our students do in our Physics for Modern Technology course to explore the universe. But this degree is more than just about theory of physics. Students also learn how to apply physics in advanced technologies, looking at robotics and control, sensors and communications, and image analysis. Students do individual research projects and work closely on work experience with companies around the Lower Mainland. To find out more, check out our website. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the Richmond Open House. Thanks.
Hi, welcome to Richmond's Open House for Kwantlen Polytechnic University. My name is Leo, and I am an instructor in the Department of Geography and the Environment. And right now I am out for a run on Nose Hill Park, which is the fourth largest municipal park in Canada, and it is located in Calgary, Alberta. That's where I'm from. Geography is something you might have studied in high school, and you might not entirely know what it's about, and it actually is about a lot of different things, and it's about a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And to me, what it's about is it's really about reading landscapes. So maybe that means reading a natural landscape, a human landscape like a city, but really in today's world, it mostly means reading landscapes that are a mix of both of those things. So today, I thought for this open house, maybe we could do a little bit of landscape reading, and I would just show you some of the features of Nose Hill Park, which is a really beautiful park. And it's very unique in the prairies because most of the prairies around here have been converted into agriculture, and Nose Hill preserves some of the natural environment, which gives us a few clues to the natural history of Nose Hill Park. So we're going to go around and make a couple of different stops and see what we can learn about the landscape here in Nose Hill.
This is one of my favorite spots in Nose Hill because it gives you a good view of the city and the mountains off in the distance there. But it also is one of the very few places around where we can actually find bedrock of the prairies. So these outcroppings of rock here are very special.
So the rock is sandstone. It's called the KPU Sandstone Formation, and KPU means blind man in Cree. So I'm sitting on the formation right now, and I'm surrounded by it. I showed you a little bit in that video before. And the dog is going after the sandstone. She thinks it's special too. And so this sandstone is all material that was eroded off of those mountains, or the Rocky Mountains that are between me and you in Richmond. So they're off to my west and your east, and for tens of millions of years they have been eroded by water and fluvial processes and carried little bits of sediment down, deposited it on the prairies and formed the bedrock of the prairie, so this KPU sandstone. So this is a very special place where you can actually see what the foundation of the prairies in Canada is made of.
Okay, I'm hiding from the wind here to try to tell the story of this rock, so I hope it's not going to be too loud on the video. But this rock's really different from the Paskapoo sandstones. So the Paskapoo sandstones are rocks that are made up of little tiny bits of older rock that have been brought here over the last tens of millions of years, whereas this rock is basically a chunk of rock, so a boulder that was brought here all together. So it's not made up of little particles that were brought here and then put together here. It was brought here all in one chunk. So the way rocks like this end up in an environment which is made up of sedimentary rock is they have to be brought here by something pretty big, and we know that what that something is glaciers. So these are what we call glacial erratics. They're rocks that didn't form here, but they were brought here by glaciers over the last 10 to 20,000 years when this area was all covered in ice sheets, and now they've been left behind, and we call them erratics because they really don't reflect the kinds of rocks that would otherwise naturally form in this environment, like the Paskapoo sandstones.
So those two chunks of rocks tell two very different stories at very different times in the history of this landscape. And of course, every landscape has a million stories, and those are really what we focus on in geography. We try to pick apart those stories, and it's a lot of fun. So thanks for coming to the open house. Have a great weekend, and I hope you get out into the Richmond landscape, which is also very cool as well.
My name is Eleanor Hannon. I am the teacher, the instructor for surface design in the Fashion Design and Technology program. I'm going to show you a simple process today that we call solar dyeing, but really it's just a little subset of dyeing with natural plants, plant materials. Let's begin. I have a jar of silk, which is labeled, and I have a jar of cellulose fiber. You might notice in the jars that the fibers have also been, their weight has been labeled. So our fibers have first of all been washed, and then it is gone through a process called mordanting. Every single aspect that we do to get the dye onto the cloth is done in the hot sunlight. You must use glass to do the process because you're requiring that glass to get hot. So everything you see here that's been prepared, pre-prepared, has been prepared in hot window, in hot sunlight. We're just going to take one jar here and I will show you the process. So this is our jar, our silk jar. And this silk jar has been sitting in a mordant. And over here is our mordant powder. So the mordant is called alum. You're going to take the silk out of the jar. So I'll just show you everybody, it's wet. So I'm going to remove it from my alum mordant. I'm going to wring it out a little bit. So lay down a piece of textile or towel or even plastic in front of you so that you are putting the mordanted fabric not on a good table surface or something like that. I'm going to lay out my piece of silk. We're going to today try solar dyeing with different plant materials, rose petals, onion skins, turmeric splotches. It's fully on the fabric, so I could now make a garment out of this. This dye is going nowhere. The fabric, if properly prepared, will give you a permanently dyed piece of fabric. Now, I'm just going to show you it's such a simple process. So I'm just going to choose some of my materials that I might want to use. So I'll choose a few of these dahlia petals. So I'm going to put an onion skin here. I'm going to put a bit of eucalyptus. Here's one of the most effective things as well. It's black tea. And this is a bit of turmeric. I've got a piece of very wilted old hydrangea. So you can use plant material that is as old as this piece is. In this particular process, we cannot necessarily tell where everything is going to be laid out because this is going to be bound up. But one thing I am going to suggest that you do prior to rolling up your cloth is just take your camera and photograph what you've got so that I can tell what I've done my dyeing process with. So I'm just going to photograph it. I just want you to mention here also, everybody, even though I'm working with plant material and silk, you can see I have gloves on. In doing any of these processes, especially when I have a mordant on the cloth, I am encouraging you to wear gloves. So what I'm going to do here, awkward, yes, for sure. I'm going to roll up this little piece of silk. So I get this delicious looking roll of cloth. So what I'm going to do here is I'm now going to bind this bundle with some string. And now here is the magic is going to happen. I'm going to take my little glass sealer jar. I want my jar to be just a little bit wet, but not with liquid floating in it. And I'm going to put my silk bundle inside the jar, close it up, and I'm going to go and put this in a hot, sunny window. We're going to take this jar that's been sitting up in the window for about 2 days. So this has been about 48 hours. And I just want to show you what it looks like now. So it's been up there, it's been in the hot, sunny window. It's middle of summer right now. And my string was white to begin with. And the string is a cotton string, so you can see that it actually has dyed the cotton string as well. We're going to begin to unwrap the piece of silk. This is always the fun part. It's so exciting. All of us are always waiting in anticipation for each other's pieces. So I'm just going to get just what you need to have in front of you when you're going to take apart your piece. So I'm unbinding it. This material can then be a couple of things. It can be recycled, of course, composted. It's gorgeous composting material because it's nice and broken down. It actually can be reused. So we can actually take this plant material and try dyeing with it again. Most of the plant material on this fabric is the plant materials that you see here. Tiny bit of turmeric. You can see all these little speckles are black tea. All these little spots, some of them are still hanging on there, are the reddish colored dahlias. So you can see that beautiful effect. So let's just look at it for a moment. Here we have our fabric. We're putting it into a clean basin. It doesn't look clean, but it's a clean basin. And you're going to put it in the basin and just mush it around in the basin a little bit to remove all the excess plant materials. So you can see here's our fiber. Now it's wet, so bear that in mind. When it dries, it will look so very fantastic. The piece just simply has to dry, and it will be beautiful once it's dried, and the colors richen as it dries. And that's the end of our process. This is solar dyeing. It's called solar dyeing, and dyeing with sunlight. So the sunlight is replacing the hot heat of a pot. And thank you for joining me in learning about the process of solar dyeing, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the virtual open house.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Richmond Open House. My name is Daria, and I'm an International Exchange Programs Coordinator here at KPU. I know that some of you might be wondering what else makes KPU so great. What if I told you that during your time here with us, in addition to great academic programs, you also have the opportunity to see and explore the world by spending a semester or two studying abroad at one of our 50 partner universities around the world, including England, Germany, Japan, Colombia, Australia, and many, many others. Curious to hear more about how transformative studying abroad during your time at KPU can be? Meet Jesse, one of our study abroad alumni who spent a semester studying in Lima, Peru, and who has plenty of fun stories to share about his time as an exchange student there.
My name is Jesse Pottinger. My major is journalism, and I went on exchange in Peru, in Lima, Peru, at La Universidad Peruana de Ciencias Aplicadas. So I've always been really into traveling in my adult life, and so when I started university, I knew right away that going on an exchange was something I wanted to do. So I started sort of roughly planning it in the beginning, and ultimately decided to try something in Latin America because I have some experience traveling in Europe. I have some experience traveling in Asia, and so South America in particular was interesting to me because I had no experience there. Had a few options that I could choose from based on the partner schools that KPU had, and ended up choosing Peru, partly because it seemed like it would be a bit more affordable, partly just because, you know, there's so much you can do there. Machu Picchu was obviously a draw. I heard the food was really good relative to like some of the best in South America. So yeah, that's why I chose Peru. Within a week of being in Peru, I got to know some other exchange students, and they had told me that there was this exchange trip that was going to go to Paracas and Huacachina. Paracas is like coastal town, I believe just south of Lima, possibly north. But it's along the coast. You can see penguins there and sea lions and seals. So that was really cool. And then we went to Huacachina, which is this little oasis in the desert. You see it in a lot of Instagram pictures if you look up Peru. Very cool place also. You can go dune buggying, sandboarding. So that was my first trip. A few weeks after that, me and a bunch of exchange students did a trip to the jungle, to Iquitos. So sort of a classic Amazon trip. We got to swim in the Amazon River, do some night hiking, just get absolutely devoured by insects, meet some of the local indigenous people, which was really cool. So that was my second trip. And then throughout the semester, we did a bunch of little trips, either with, you know, my cousin came and visited me at one point, and with my fellow exchange students as well. So I went to Arequipa, which is like this old colonial city. I went up to Mancora a couple times, which is this beach town in the north. Went up right up to the border with Ecuador to a town called Tumbes, which is not a very touristy city, but we had a specific reason for going there. And then of course Machu Picchu and the city of Cusco, which in itself is very, very interesting. My favorite food in Peru. The first thing I was eating as soon as I got there was ceviche. I was eating ceviche all the time. It's very famous there. It comes, one of the popular things to eat in Peru, and you can find it a lot of restaurants, is like combinations. So you get a bit of ceviche, a bit of chicharron, and you know, something else, and some nuts or something. Really cheap, really filling, just a great thing to eat wherever you are. One of my favorite things to eat in Peru was anticuchos. It's like their street food. I believe it's beef hearts, cow hearts, which might sound weird to some people if you hadn't had it, but if you ate it, you wouldn't know that it's a heart. It's just meat. And it was really good. What else? The claim to fame for Peru, which I think it sort of distinguishes it when it comes to, you know, culinary specialties, is cuy, guinea pig. So probably the most interesting thing I ate in Peru was in this market in Cusco called San Pedro Market. And it was a full guinea pig, chopped up, seaweed, cheese, fish eggs, just a whole whack of interesting things flung onto a plate that fortunately didn't get me sick. It was really good. And the lady was lovely that served it to me as well. So the item that I brought from my time in Peru is this mask, which I got in the jungle. We visited this indigenous community near Iquitos, or in Iquitos, and they had some of these like traditional things that they had made. And the mask caught my eye because I've always collected masks. It's something that I got from my grandma. My room is covered in them, and so I'd gone to Peru thinking, oh, I need to find a mask here, like a traditional Peruvian mask. I don't know how traditional this is, but it was pretty cool. It caught my eye, and so I brought it home with me. It's easy to come up with all the barriers to it, and there are, you know, many. Obviously, everyone has their own responsibilities in their home country. It can be like very daunting thinking about like the financial cost of studying abroad. But I know that for myself and anyone that wants to talk to people who organize study abroad trips at KPU, there's always ways around these challenges.
I hope you enjoyed Jesse's fun stories. If you'd like to hear more testimonials, check out our YouTube and Instagram channels at KPU Study Abroad, and give us a follow to stay up to date with exciting content that we prepare for our students. If you're interested in how you can enhance your experience at KPU by spending a semester studying in a different university, send us an email at internationalprograms@kpu.ca, and we'll be more than happy to get you started. Enjoy the rest of the open house events. Take care, stay safe, and stay in touch.
So hi,
Hi, my name is Catherine. I teach in the chemistry department here at KPU. We offer first and second year chemistry to support our other science departments. And what I'm going to do for you today is a quick demonstration of some of the different properties of dry ice. Dry ice I've got in my little cooler back here. It's really cold. It's at minus 78 degrees Celsius. What I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer some of this, and since it's so cold, I need to use these tongs to prevent my fingers from freezing off. So I'll put a few pellets in there. And you might already be able to see that there's some fog being formed in there. We're gonna make a lot more fog by pouring some warm water over it. So that's going, you can see the fog is filling up in this pop bottle, but we can do something else too. So what I've got here is some bubble solution, and I'm gonna fill this up with some gas. Grow a bubble with some dry ice fog inside. If I'm lucky, those will stay on this towel I've got. So the fog stays inside, and come on, there we go. All right, I can also just pop it with my finger and watch all of that fog disappear. Got another one for you as well. So here, I've got a graduated cylinder. It's filled with something called the universal indicator. So this is going to change color depending on what the pH is. Right now, the pH is very high, it's very basic, and so it's a dark purple color. And you'll see what happens. It'll change color if there's acid inside. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put one piece. Yeah, just one piece of dry ice inside, and we'll see how that goes. And you can see that at the beginning, it makes the same sort of fog, and come on, fog. The color starts to gradually change through to this yellow color. So this tells us that when carbon dioxide dissolves in water, it makes an acid. So that's it for me. Enjoy the rest of your time at our virtual open house.
Our academic and career preparation program is designed to help individuals upgrade their skills in order to prepare for university, meet entrance requirements, or assist them in completing the BC Adult Graduation Diploma. Here joining me today to speak about her upgrading experience is Emily. Thanks for joining us, Emily.
Thanks for having me, Kim.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I am a mother. I have 2 children, 2 boys, 12 and 7. I'm actually upgrading my mathematics, and I just finished upgrading my English as well.
Excellent. So how did you hear about KPU's upgrading programs?
I actually heard about it through online, through Googling. I found KPU, saw that there was upgrading available. KPU has always had a great reputation, and also online had amazing reviews, and it's close to home for me, which was super important, being the fact that I have a family. I needed that easy access. I came in to register, and through talking to wonderful ladies on the phone, I just fell in love right away. It was just so welcoming and upbeat and positive. I never felt like I was too old for school or anything like that.
Was there anything else that you had some doubts about coming back to school?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, not only am I in my 30s with children of my own in school, but I didn't do well in high school. School was never really my strong point, those books, you know? So I really was unsure of whether I was able to make the cut for university. Just through talking one-on-one with professors, I got a lot of encouragement, a lot of support, and it really just gave me that final push that I needed, knowing that I had people in my corner.
Could you tell us a little bit about what the experiences at KPU has done for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had a wonderful experience here. I've made long-lasting friendships, which I really didn't think would happen, again, being a mature student. I've made friends with people from all different age groups, demographics. I've gotten to learn a lot about youth these days coming into university, given my input as an older student and gotten a lot of input from younger students as well, which has really expanded and broadened my views, which I really appreciate. I also have come across Sue Lee. She was my English instructor for upgrading, and she was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. She was funny, she was very just lovely spirited, there was never any pressure. She really took her time to make sure that her students understood what was being taught and had that full concept before she felt confident continuing onwards, which was just phenomenal. It's really increased my English.
So for our viewers once again at home, if they're sitting there thinking, I don't know if I could do it, I don't know if I could go back to university, what bit of advice would you give them?
You know what, 2 years ago that was myself. So I think that we really get into our own heads. We really are our own worst enemies. And you're never gonna know if you can do it or not unless you try. You can't fail without an attempt first. And usually you end up succeeding. So absolutely, regardless of your past or your grades or any struggles that you have, it's absolutely worth a shot, and it's really increased my own self-confidence.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Kwantlen Polytechnic University's Open House. Today I'm going to look at an area that I teach called critical thinking and science versus pseudoscience. Now this may be a bit different from what you're used to. You might think psychology only deals with people's problems, but we actually deal with all sorts of areas. We deal with like how children learn, how your eyes work, how your ears work, your memory. There's all sorts of different topics, why we're attracted to each other, that type of stuff. So on ours anyways, we're going to be looking at this course I teach that emphasizes the importance of science and how we have a tendency to believe things without critically evaluating them. In many ways, this is what you would consider a myth-busting course. So on that note, let's look at a few different types of demonstrations that I'll quickly show you. There's not a lot of time to present, but I'll show you a few quick examples, and I'll basically try to illustrate that, you know, we always think that we would like to view ourselves as rational thinkers, and that we always see things exactly the way they are, and that we remember things correctly, etc. But as you'll see from a few of the little demonstrations, and certainly more in a full course, you'll see that we're not actually as good at that as we'd like to believe we are. We're pretty good, but we often make mistakes. And it's these types of mistakes that can lead us to believe in things like conspiracy theories, or using ineffective or possibly dangerous medicines that haven't, or medical remedies I should say, that haven't been approved or been tested by science, etc. So there are endless types of topics we could look at with this. So on that note, let's look first at a little test that involves looking at the number of F's in a sentence. Okay, I want you to count the number of letter F's that you see in this little sentence here. I'll give you about 10 seconds because it's a very easy sentence to look at. Just the total number of letter F's. Okay, you got it? Okay. Basically what happens here is typically you find that people will say they see 3 letter F's. Now there'll be a few of you that might actually catch 4. The odd person might even see 5. And sometimes people even claim that they see 6. So how many are there in this sentence? There's 6 letter F's. of. Turns out people miss the letter F that's in the ofs quite often. The reason why we think this might happen, or at least one possible reason, is because we know that small words are more difficult to break down into smaller components. In fact, oddly enough, if you couldn't speak English, you might actually do better on this test, because you would no longer recognize these as individual words. It'd just be a string of letters, and you would count the number of letter Fs. So another little demonstration that we could look at has to do with what we'll call magic, except that it's done by a computer. And what I want you to do in this case is to look at a bunch of cards. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to concentrate on one of these cards. Get a picture in your mind of this card. Now try to rotate the card upside down in your mind if you can. Get as good an image as possible. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this. We'll put all the cards together. We're going to shuffle the cards. And now what we're going to do, think of that card again. Try to imagine that your card upside down if you can. Is it gone? Now that we've looked at that, why would we use magic in the first place? One of the reasons I use magic in the course, because people have a tendency to really believe that if they can't see a quick explanation for something, then it might be true. But in fact, we know that magic doesn't work, and certainly magicians themselves will typically admit to that. But it's a great example as well in that case of what we might call inattentional blindness, our inability to see or pay attention to everything. We get so fixed on one thing that we miss the rest. In this case, for example, those cards, all the cards at the very end of that trick, none of them were yours. So that's why it looked like we were guessing yours. So another thing we can look at then are, very quickly, just a few of the types of questions I ask students. For example, are sharks more dangerous than coconuts? Does sugar make children hyperactive? True or false? We only use 10% of our brain. Vaccines are dangerous. More crimes are committed during a full moon. Now those are some typical questions that we might look at and say, well, what does science tell us about this? Well, it tells us that all of those things are wrong. Sharks are not more dangerous than coconuts. In fact, there is about the similar number of deaths per year from both sharks and coconuts. So you could be sitting on the beach, looking at the shark going by, thinking how safe you are, bam, coconut falls out of the tree, hits you on the head, you're dead, right? Other types of things. Sugar makes children hyperactive. No, there's all sorts of other reasons why children might be hyperactive. They might be hyperactive because they're at a party, or they're not typically allowed to have sugar, or various things like that. So, you know, there's research that conclusively shows it doesn't make us hyperactive. There's no physiological link. We only use our 10% of our brain. Well, that's just a scary myth that's been around for a long, long time. How about vaccines are dangerous? No, contrary to that, vaccines and antibiotics have probably changed our longevity. And when you look at 100 years ago, we only typically lived to about 48. Now we actually live to be about, I don't know, 82 or something like that. Now, a lot of the reason for that is not because people are always just living to be older. It's also because a lot of children back then didn't live under the age of 10. They didn't make it, right? And now, antibiotics and vaccines have changed that tremendously. So they are probably, arguably, two of the most important, if not the most important, medical discoveries we've had in the last 100 years. One last thing, for more crimes committed during a full moon. Again, we'd look at that and say, well, no, that's not true at all. The research shows that's not conclusive. Okay, one last thing that I want to point out. We have a tendency to say that when we look at the world, you know, people will say, I'll believe it when I see it. But in fact, people are guilty of I'll see it when I believe it. In other words, your beliefs often dictate what we believe to be true.
My name is Andrew Frank. I am an instructor in the Public Relations Diploma program here at KPU. Public relations is the strategic management of relationships between organizations and businesses and their audiences. Really, it comes down to using communication strategy and creative communication to develop beneficial relationships with audiences and to help achieve organizational goals. In practice, that means using things like social media, video, and creative writing to connect with audiences and to persuade them, to inform them, to build those relationships. The Diploma in Public Relations is a 2-year, full-time, 60-credit diploma. It's split in half, so half of the courses come directly from public relations and the other half are drawn from across the university in areas like business education, writing, Indigenous studies, ethics, as well as electives that students might choose to take. There's never been a better time to get into public relations. As the COVID-19 pandemic has shown us, clear, ethical, effective communication has never been more important. And we're really excited about the redesign that we've just done with the PR diploma. The new diploma is flexible, so students can study at their own pace. It's open intake. It's also extendable. They can use the diploma towards another degree at KPU. So a PR diploma can count towards half of the credits of a Bachelor of Arts in Journalism or a Bachelor of Business Management in Marketing, for example. And finally, we're also credible and we're current. Through this redesign process, we've worked closely with industry professionals in the public relations field. We have a professional advisory committee that had direct input on the redesign of our curriculum. Some of the new courses that we're really excited about include social media for public relations, production and design, crisis communication, and also PR campaign and event management. So our program really emphasizes experiential learning, which means learning by doing. So for example, our students will partner with local organizations in the community to either help raise money, for example, by organizing a fundraising event, or by working with media to help raise awareness of an issue or a charitable cause. Students who are interested in PR and going into the field are students who have a passion for communication, for building relationships with people, for using creative and strategic thinking to help solve real-world problems and challenges. So if you're curious about public relations, we encourage you to take one of our Introduction to Public Relations courses. All of our courses are now available as electives to any student in the university. You don't need to be enrolled in the program. And by taking one of those courses, you'll probably get a chance to see if public relations is for you. Thanks for taking time to learn about the Public Relations Diploma. We hope you enjoy the rest of the virtual open house.
My name is Tara Callahan, and I'm a Wilson School of Design alumni. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you tips and tricks on photographing projects for your portfolio. The first tip that we're going to talk about is background. This is something to really be mindful of when shooting your projects. You want to make sure that when you're photographing something, that the background isn't taking away from the subject. Your work, your project, whatever it may be, is the thing that deserves the most attention. So when photographing something, and if you have a background that has different colors, textures, and depth, it can be really distracting to the eye. So a couple really simple tricks to acing this would be shooting on a white backdrop. So this could be a wall, or if you have a table, something that's flat, solid, hard, this is really good for shooting something that is 2D. So whether that's graphic design or typography, doing something that is a flat lay on a table is excellent. Now, if you don't have a white table and if you don't have white walls, other things you can do would be to use cardboard boxes or maybe shoe boxes that are white or black, whatever backdrop that you might need, using paper, just being creative and just trying to keep that backdrop as simple and clean as possible so that your work is the thing that gets the most attention. The second tip we're going to talk about is lighting. This one might seem a little bit obvious, but it's something that you should never overlook. So when photographing your projects, we know that within design, oftentimes they can showcase a lot of different colors. So lighting can obviously change how certain colors look. So make sure that you're trying to use natural light when possible. Also, sometimes it's good to play around with different lighting techniques. Maybe you're using lighting that's warm or cool. Make sure that you understand what you're photographing and what's going to make it look the most realistic and authentic. For example, if you're photographing fabric and you're putting it in front of certain lighting that's totally changing the color of it, it's not really doing you any favors. The third tip is composition and framing. So again, really know what you're photographing. Know to shoot different angles, different viewpoints, and different perspectives. It's really great to showcase your work in different views. This is probably going to be mostly used for a lot of projects that are 3D, so whether you're shooting a product or a model or whatever it may be, really shoot it from different viewpoints. So instead of just shooting it directly head on, maybe you do something that's overhead, underneath, different shots to really showcase what your project is. The fourth tip is take your time. I definitely remember being in school and photographing projects as quick as I could just so I could put them in my presentation. Now, one thing I actually regret is doing that, because looking back on those photos, I know I could have done a much better job to showcase my work. So when photographing things, don't think about it as, oh, I need to take a photo just so I can put this, for my project or presentation or to show my process, but think about it as this could be in my portfolio. So really take your time when photographing something. Another tip that is really great to keep in mind is that having an expensive camera doesn't mean that those photos are going to turn out great. Yes, having an expensive camera that's high quality really does help, but don't undermine yourself if you only have your phone to use. This also can force you to be a bit more creative and resourceful. So don't be intimidated by the fact that other people might have expensive gear who are photographing their portfolio. That doesn't make or break it. Just be confident in yourself and do the best you can with what you have. The last thing to keep in mind is to be confident in yourself. This is work that you've spent so much time making, put so much blood, sweat, and tears into, so you should really be proud of it. So in order to be proud of it, really take your time, showcase it, give it the attention that it deserves, and showcase it in a way that you are proud of. Really make it you and make it personal. You don't have to make a portfolio that's like everybody else's. And I know that sometimes when looking up, oh, how do I make a portfolio? It can be really overwhelming. But just think about it in terms of, what does my work mean to me? What is my work representing, and what is it showcasing? And take those things and include it in how you display your portfolio. Be confident in yourself and do the best you can.